go ahead and move on, man. Next, we're going to talk about Melanie King. Melanie King has a very popular YouTube channel. She talks a lot about, black relationships and all of that kind of stuff, which is not uncharted territory. But she has a large following. She has a lot of subscribers. She has 177,000 subscribers, to be exact. So she has a sizable following. And she made one of her videos recently. Actually, I don't know if it was a video on her channel. I think she was actually a guest on another podcast. And she was talking about black women and some of the difficulty with black women in relationships, and how some of that at least has to do with black women's unwillingness to compete in what is very much in 2022 a competitive dating market. I don't think that that's unfair to say. That the dating market is extremely competitive, and if you want to be successful, you're going to have to do the things necessary to compete in said dating market. So we're going to play this clip from what Melanie King had to say on this particular episode, and then we'll talk about it afterwards.
You can't even get women nowadays to bring their man a plate, rub his feet, just basic things. But the attitude of so many women that I see now is they don't want to cater to a man, and it's almost like it's a dirty word. They don't want to compete for a man. They want him to just pick her because she's so special. But it's too much competition. There's too much out here. What are you doing to outbeat the competition? What are you doing to win over a man? And a lot of women, they don't want to do it. They want to have attitudes, not be, work on themselves in any kind of way, physically, mentally, spiritually. No, they just think they just show up. Me being alive, being a woman with a vagina is enough for a man to choose me. Accept me as I am. All the men need to change. All the men need to stop being this way. But us women, we're perfect. Out the womb, we're perfect. Just because we're born, we're perfect beings, and it's all these men. But that's good news for me, because I'm going to compete, and I'm glad that they've taken themselves out the competition. And that's less work for me.
So correction, well, not really a correction, but I initially said that she was kind of talking about black women. Let me correct the record based upon that clip. She was talking about women in general. She didn't specifically talk about black women. She was talking about all women, but we might speculate that that's the place that she was coming from. But for the purposes of setting the record straight, I just wanted to say that was me saying that. I'm not putting words in her mouth. I said black women, but she actually said women in general. So a while back, last year, I did a video on this channel talking about Bobby Shmurda. Bobby Shmurda was trending because he had gotten out of prison and he was, on his social media profiles gallivanting with a white girl. And, everybody got mad, predictably. Black people got mad. The black women were like, here we go again. This dude is selling out, going with the white women, blah, blah, blah. And then, the Captain Saber, caping black men who only want to get in the pants of black women by parroting this speech. They don't actually believe this stuff. They just say it because they want to endear themselves to black women so that they can get in their pants. That's my opinion. But these capping black men were saying the same thing. How dare Bobby Shmurda turn his back on our beautiful black queens? And, the point that I was trying to make in that video was, at least one of the points that I was trying to make in that video, was not necessarily to defend Bobby Shmurda's decision to, I don't even know if they were dating or not, but let's just say dating for the purposes of this conversation. It wasn't to defend Bobby Shmurda's decision to date this white woman. It was to say, hey, black women, if you are so upset because Bobby Shmurda is, riding around with this white female, you're going to need to understand that in this day and age, it is more incumbent upon you to accept the challenge of competing for the attention of these guys, because we are no longer living in a time in which it is your natural birthright to have dominion over these men. Those days are over. Like, you don't have dominion over these guys anymore. They are not going to believe that it is their obligation to immediately leapfrog every other woman to come straight to you because it's their duty to do so. Like, that's no longer a thing. I'm sorry if that upsets you. I'm sorry if that pisses you off. But that is no longer something that is a real thing happening in the world. Because dating is a competitive game. And men are going to choose the women who are most apt to competing. So if you're not doing the things that other women are doing, I feel as though it is not your place to complain that you were not chosen. So if a guy like Bobby Shmurda, and I don't even know Bobby Shmurda, I'm just saying in general, if Bobby Shmurda chooses to be with a woman who eats right, who works out on her body, who adheres some level of exercise and fitness, and who has the types of value sets that he finds most appealing, then at that point, that woman that he chose outdueled you in the competition. If you don't want to be outdueled, you need to step up to the plate and compete at a higher level. So maybe you need to get in the gym more. Maybe you need to learn better. Maybe you need to work on some aspects of your level of domestication. And I'm not relegating women to being domesticated solely, but if a guy chooses a woman who has a certain level of domestication over you, then at that point, you being mad at that situation is you being mad in a manner in which it's going to speak towards your insecurities because you lack those things that other women intrinsically have. So like if you want to be a more appealing option for a lot of modern guys these days, especially a lot of guys who have multiple options because they work to earn the access to having multiple options, you're just going to have to compete at a high enough level. And, King, she talked about work. She mentioned body and mind and soul in that video. And what do you think body means? Like, some guys like women who work out. If you don't like working out and he picks women who works out over you, then you're gonna have to either compete by working out or allow yourself to be relegated to guys who don't care about that stuff. But I just think in this day and age, you just can't complain about certain things when you are unwilling to compete in a manner that will allow yourself to appeal to a lot of the men who you want to get the attention from. So I don't necessarily disagree with much that she had to say. And I'm not trying to suggest that it's all about the physical and it's all about working out and it's all about the gym. That was just one example of me trying to suggest that you have to accept a more holistic approach towards competing for the attention of the types of men that you want attention from. Like, men have had to compete since the beginning of time. There's not a single man walking this earth who is necessarily happy with the fact that in order for him to be able to appeal to all of the women that he wants to appeal to, he's going to have to up his game in terms of money and resources. But the practical reality is, if a woman chooses a guy over me and that guy has more to offer than me in terms of money and resources, I can't exactly get mad at her for making that very logical decision. So it is incumbent upon me to accept the challenge of competing at a higher enough level to where I can acquire those same qualities so that I can operate in that same playing field. So this is opposite sides of the same coin. The dynamic works both ways. The door swings both ways. And yes, I agree. You women out there, just because you have a vagina, does not mean that you have dominion over a certain caliber of man. You need to get out of that form of thinking. Like, stop being a narcissist. Stop being entitled and pretentious. And you just need to understand that those days are over. You do not have dominion over these guys, not anymore. So if you don't want to compete, then you're just going to have to accept that you're going to have to play in the sandbox that you're in. And you just won't graduate to the bounce house. Stay in the sandbox. But don't complain about the people who can play in the bounce house when you're unwilling to do what it takes to be in the bounce house. If all you're willing to do is stay in the sandbox, then accept what comes along with staying in the sandbox.
Word to that. My take from this is how the mentality that she's speaking against is absolutely disgusting. It is absolutely disgusting. It is a nasty, messy energy. It is a very nasty, messy energy. And when I read the comment section from whenever there's a woman who makes sense and she makes a post where she's not defending men, she'll probably even qualify that she understands why some women may have certain feelings towards men, but they'll still say this thing that I understand where men are coming from when it comes to X, Y, and Z. Whenever I see those types of posts, the women go into um, they smell blood in the water, I guess, and they just come swarming in from all angles to rip her to shreds, kind of thing, and to try to attack her and tear her down with the same group mob mentality that we were talking about in the last segment. And the inverse of guys being, we were talking about Russell Wilson and what it makes a man, or are you really a black man if you don't act like this, blah, blah, blah. And these women out here that are saying, hey, look, I get it. I'm all for women empowerment. I'm all for us being equal and stuff like this or whatever. But at the same time, I understand that being equal means I have to be feminine. So my role would be X, Y, and Z. And then the room just loses. The women just absolutely lose. What do you mean be feminine? He didn't earn that. He didn't blah, blah, he blah, blah, blah. And so with this mentality that's oozing throughout the world, and like you said, bro, I won't just relegate this to the black community. And from what I hear, bro, this is going on everywhere, at least if you're a westernized woman.
Yeah.
And so if you're a westernized woman, it can be this whole thing where they have to be treated like, so here's the thing. So there's the queen, right? And then there's the princess. And so the princess was treated with the princess treatment her whole life. And she always got what she wanted. She finessed everybody. All right. I'm growing up and I'm taking care of my, nieces and nephews, and they 2 years old, 3 years old, running head games on their parents. And I'm like, hey, they're manipulating you right there. Hey, he's not really whatever, or she's not really whatever. And the parents just do this thing where we're giving in. All right, come on, man. It's not a big deal. No, it is a big deal. They just tried you right there. And so this comes from a long life of trying their caregivers and getting away with whatever they wanted. Then they'll go to school and get away with whatever they want and try that and try. They'll get a job and then try the people on the job. They take more days off. They do this. They're just not trying to be accountable for anything. Just absorb, take, just straight vamp mode. And then once we would date these women, because there's a large pool of these women now, and then so you'll get a woman because she's attractive or y'all hit it off for whatever reason. So now y'all are dating or whatever, and there's nothing brought to the table. There's nothing to bring to the table. You say, hey, what are you bringing to the table? And they say, me. I am the table. And so they don't have an answer. Their whole life, they've been getting away with stuff. Their whole life, they never had to build a shed, figuratively speaking. They never had to build a shed. They never had to fix anything. they've always go, somebody else is fixing it. Somebody else is paying for it. Somebody else is this. Somebody else is that. So naturally in their relationship, they feel like they're delegating again. Hey, pay me, give me money. Don't call it an allowance. Give me money. I'm not cooking, all this other crap. And so this whole mentality comes from this princess level of upbringing, whether they were actually treated like princesses. It's still this notion that if I'm a woman, I deserve to be treated like, be taken care of at all costs. The coddling. A little girl scrapes her knee, things that, the world stops. A little boy scrapes his knee, it's all good. He has to shake it off. And that whole coddle that goes on with girls from 0 to whatever, they grow up in this bubble of coddledness. So then once you try to date her and you try to treat her like an individual, she doesn't see any of that. The only thing she sees is, what can I get out of this now? Because everywhere I've gone in my life and everybody that's been in my life has been giving me. I never had to produce anything. I don't have my own engine to produce something for you. Everybody always gave me something, and that is terrible. So I think the mentality that in which she's speaking on, she's speaking against. That's why these women, they don't have anything else. I'm pretty sure the comment section to her videos, at least on social media, maybe not on our YouTube page, maybe on her YouTube page, where they're attacking her because they're attacking that mentality that tells them that they actually have to get up and do something. They want to remain lazy, and they want to remain just receiving. And whenever you're dealing with that, that's what you were speaking of before, of just the narcissists in all of them. Not all of them, but all the ones that are off the grid with the crazy stuff. Mm-hmm. And they've tapped into a level of narcissism that has been cultivated by society and probably within their own household, but society had an influence on how they were raising their own daughters. So we have a mad cycle going on where these women are products of, and it's crazy how they say we live in a patriarchy, where these women are growing up so coddled that they want to continue to be coddled even when they're adults. So it's a wild phenomenon that we're witnessing right now. It's and like I started out with, I don't like the energy. It's messy, it's petty, and it's very reminiscent to the TV shows that they log into and watch all the time. And honestly, when they're sitting there watching that filth all the time, it has to manifest itself somehow, some way. And so they have to be petty, they have to give nasty energy, and they have to dish it out to somebody. And so even if they are dealing with somebody that they know is good for them and cares about them and all this other stuff, they have to create the drama. They have to create a mess instead of actually doing something productive. So they're left over there in that world. And it's just for men, honestly, at this point, when we're having our interview process, to actually weed these women out that are giving us all the prerequisites that they could be this type of woman that's not going to contribute, that's not going to compete for your love and affection. So I agree with her wholeheartedly. And I just think that the beast and the machine that's out there right now that has all these women bamboozled, it is very large. And I just think that it's just time for men to not even try to deal with energy like that anymore, and only seek the higher grounds and deal with women that actually have their heads screwed on straight. And so this Melina young lady, I don't know what her life used to be about. I think she used to be on OnlyFans or something. Like, some people be worried about checkered past and stuff, but I'm a type of dude where I don't know if I'll date a person that used to do OnlyFans, but I'm just saying, man, that I'm not a body count guy. I really don't care. But it's just a thing where dealing with a woman that's got her head screwed on straight, I think nowadays, I think that's the best thing that any man could do, because these women out here that's trying to live their hot girl summers and live their best lives, whatever the hell that means, just stay away from that type of stuff, man. It's just run for the hills whenever you hear that kind of rhetoric.
Yeah. The problem with the statement that you made about, men, you said something to the effect of, men doing a better job of not falling victim to this or holding women more accountable or something to that nature that you said. The problem with that is that men, as you have so eloquently stated on several occasions in the past, we are all subjected to our own form of madness. So the machine that teaches women that they are inherently titled to everything just because of who they are, just for the sake of their existence, that same machine teaches men that their sole goal in life is to just get a bad bitch. So it's like, it doesn't matter whether she has any qualities or intangibles to speak of, whether her personality is amenable to the point where we are actually compatible. All that matters is that she looks a certain type of way and that I can have her as if she's my property. Like buying a car. You buy a Lamborghini, not because it's a sports car, but because it's a Lamborghini. In a lot of ways, these modern relationships nowadays behave very similarly, where it's like these dudes are out here shopping for women, and they're shopping to purchase the best looking woman on the market, because having that woman as a part of his, appreciable assets relays a certain amount of value for him. No different than if you see a guy pulling up in a Range Rover, you're going to speculate on his relative value because of the car he's driving. Like, we've relegated relationships and the way we treat each other, in terms of we've relegated this to the same dynamic, and men are exposed to this madness. So how can you hold women accountable when you don't care about intangibles and qualities? All you care about is getting me a bad bitch. And so you have legions of men who harbor this mentality, and it just exacerbates the problem. It doesn't make it any better. Into perpetuity, we are sitting around collectively as men saying, hey man, I'm working to earn these degrees and get this house and purchase and develop streams of passive income, not so that makes me better as a human being, but so that I can have access to bad bitches. And you don't think women are picking up on that? You can say whatever you want about a woman's nature, her narcissism, her sense of entitlement, how she is coddled and is lazy and therefore does not want to work to earn anything that she feels she deserves in life. But one thing you can't take away from them is how perceptive they are when it comes to how to extract things from men. And they pick up on the fact that as a society, we are basically socially engineering men to work hard to the extent to where you are going to want to acquire a certain type of woman. It's on the TikToks, it's on the Instagrams, it's on the TV shows, it's on all forms of new media, it's on YouTube. As Brittany Renner talked about when she had her little back and forth with Fresh and Fit on DJ Academic's YouTube channel, where she was like, you guys talk about how you guys are trying to express to men how they shouldn't put women on a particular type of pedestal because we're not special, yet you have an entire YouTube channel dedicated to how to get attractive women. So if we're not that special and if we ought not to be placed on such a high pedestal, why are so many YouTube channels created trying to teach men how to get attractive women? They must be special in some kind of way. And if you think something is special, you're going to let certain things slide. If you place a certain valuation on something, you will let certain things slide in order to attain it, and that's just human nature. So if I'm a really big gamer and there's only one PS5 left in my local GameStop, and I want PS5 really, really bad, but I don't want to get into credit card debt, I might just go out and run a credit card up to get me a PS5 because I want it that bad. So I'm letting my financial sensibilities slide because of how bad I want that PlayStation 5. So if this social conditioning is engineering us as men to be all about the bad bitch, and that's all that life is about, then in order to acquire that bad bitch, we are going to let certain things slide, like work ethic, intangibles, qualities, various forms of personality, value sets. all of these things that we say we care about, but we don't actually care about in mass. Because all we care about in mass, because we listen to too many dumbass rap songs and watch too many stupid ass TV shows, is I gotta get me a bag so I can get me a bad bitch. So I just don't know what you expect. Like what Melanie King is saying is valid, but let's be clear. On both sides, there are actions and behaviors that are contributing to the madness. So yes, women are being a certain type of way that doesn't help the situation. But I mean, like I said many times before, man, women intrinsically, I think it is literally I think that this is a nature versus nurture thing. And I come in on the side of nature. I truly do. I think that women in the brain are literally hardwired to intrinsically know how to behave and acquiesce towards men based upon the behaviors that men give off. So like if men are doing all of this stuff and making it, if men are doing a good enough job of creating an environment in which the prize is the woman above all else, and that's all that I am working to achieve in life, then they are going to know how to maneuver throughout that situation. So, you know, women need to do better and men need to do better. But honestly, like, I really don't know what else you expect. Like, the inherent narcissism is real, but it's real based upon cues that women have picked up from men over the course of a few generations now. So it's just, it is what it is, man. But like, it's social conditioning on both sides. So I'm not blaming one side or the other. I do think that one side is the progenation of the dynamic more so than the other, but it's all a mixed bag of bullshit. And like, you know, it's just the only way that you're going to reverse it is if there's more sensibleness brought to the table. So, you know, kudos to her for making these videos that she makes, this being one of them. But like, at the end of the day, no, the logic tells me women are being trained to not work, not because their environment is telling them you don't have to, but because men also tell them you don't need to do nothing but show up. And so this is what you get.
Yeah, I agree. And my thing is, if she's all about the money, you know, if she's some new age city girl or whatever they're calling themselves, and if they're doing that, just treat them like the escort they are.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
just treat them as the escort they are. Um, from here on out, it's your fault, whatever happens. But if she's just an escort, you pay for your services, and you're out of there. You shouldn't be checking phones. You shouldn't be hanging out like that. I mean, if so, it's for a date, but that's within the budget for your escort. So if you're just treating her like that, then and have a rotation of escorts, you can live that life.
Do you, bro? Yeah. Do
Yeah,
you?
like you can do that, but you have to have things in its proper categories, and you can't go around mixing and try to make an escort your housewife. Okay, so you don't believe the escort. She's an escort.
Yes.
So when she's talking to you, she's lying. The only words that can come out of her mouth are lies, because she's not going to tell you she's an escort. So you have to give her that definition off the bat. And then anything that she tells you after that is escort lies. So you just treat the situation as it is. I mean, instead of calling these girls these other words, we need to start calling them escorts. Maybe they'll start getting offended by that. Hey, escort, get over here. Excuse me? Like better escort? We're going to Olive Garden like you asked. Let's go to Olive Garden. You can even get dessert. You're an escort. I'm paying for this. And this is cheaper than an escort.
Yes, these are services rendered.
Yeah.
You are providing a service. You are no different than a masseuse to me. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
You're making yourself available to the highest bidder. Like
Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, Robert Kraft. No, we're going to a massage parlor and I'm Robert Kraft. I'm paying for this service. Yeah.
No, you got to treat. That's what they're asking for, and they're in
Yes.
their cars, proud, talking about it. Oh yeah, girl, I'm an escort. They don't say that, but that's what they're saying. Yeah, girl, I'm an escort. This is how I get guys to pay for me to eat dinner at night because I don't have a real job. I live in hotels. You escort. And then don't get us started on them the Dubai porta potty girls. I done told you about that.
Yeah.
Oh Lord, bro, we gotta have a segment, man. But even for the ones that's on Instagram, just you know what I'm saying, flexing on all the other normies, right? Just flexing on everybody else with their BBLs and all other strange behaviors.
Yes.
And they're out there doing all that stuff, getting sharded on. And not just sharded on, not like how Biggie said where the girl wanted to shard on the chest. Nah, man, they're sharding in these girls' face. Bro, I see the video, bro. It is wild, bro. We got offline. I got to show you, bro. It is madness. So
I don't know if I want to see it.
No,
I
bro,
don't even know if I want to see it.
If you think 2 girls, 1 cup is crazy, you gotta see this, bro. You gotta see it. But the reason why I'm saying this is, look at the extent these escorts go through. Just like on Instagram, jet setting and gallivanting. This is ridiculous. That's why I feel like telling these girls, look at your role models. Look at your role models. They literally get, sharded on. You trying to do that? I'm not into that. But you want that Olive Garden so bad.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We can do that.
They want to get on that jet ski. They want to get on that jet ski, man.
That's what it is. She wants the jet ski. So
all you have to do, look, man, if you are a man today and you have any kind of sense in you, just download a dating app and just peruse dating apps and look through the profiles of the women who say hit me up on Instagram. Those women are modern day prostitutes.
No,
like they leverage their physical appearance on social media to have easy access to men with low self-esteem. And the more men who are the more men who are exposed to this form of social conditioning, the more men out there we're going to have with low self-esteem who are willing to capitulate to this.
No, absolutely.
So, but it is absolutely modern day prostitution. Absolutely.
Yeah. And nobody's just calling it that. And so this is the thing where it's like, and this is where, and also with the advent of social media and, things like that, the internet. Is that women can do it themselves. They really don't need a pimp anymore. They
are their own escort service. Yes.
Right. If OnlyFans is the middleman.
Yes.
So they're safe in the house. They don't even have to deal with anybody. So, definitely the game has evolved. It is what it is. But for as crazy as it sounds and as crazy as the world has gotten, there's still a population of people who get it. Both male and female. And so whenever I am out in the world and I'm trying to attract something, I'm trying to attract a woman who gets it. If I so happen to run into an escort on my way there, the escort gets treated like an escort.
Yes.
And so just treat it like that, bro. Stay safe. Because all this other goofy stuff going on out here, they'll try to manipulate your feelings. The hollowness that they feel inside, they're trying to extract that out of you. And so they're trying to make you feel hollow and cold and crazy inside. And don't let them have it. They're escorts for a reason. If there's a real woman out there and she has some real values, some real boundaries, and she's making you work for it, and this ain't cap, you can tell that this girl actually has morals and stuff, then that's the woman that you actually want to spend time with. That's the woman that you actually want to build with. But anything else, bro, if her lashes reach out further and it can touch your face, then I don't think you need to talk to that woman. You know what I'm saying? Not like that. You know what I'm saying? The face might be crazy if you know what I'm getting at. You know what I'm saying? But that's all we need from our fellas. All right. Yeah. We just want the fellatio and that's all. Yeah. All right. But yeah, man, I agree with everything that what's that? Melanie
Melanie
Yeah,
King.
I agree with everything she's saying, man. I feel like more women are getting brave and speaking up. So all my sisters out there that's holding it down and not trying to be part of the hot girl summers and not trying to be a city girl and stuff like that, I salute y'all. It's a grind, but stay down because it's a grind for us fellas too. And
Yeah,
we'll find it. We'll find each other. We'll make it all work. You know what I'm saying? Let the crazies deal with the crazies. But
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Both sides need to stay safe, honestly.
Facts. Yeah, absolutely. But to just take it back to her central thesis.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that there is something to be said. So let's exclude the madness. So
Mm-hmm.
let's take the madness, men and women who are enveloped in the madness. Let's put them in their own little Ziploc bag and toss that out. So now we ain't talking about them. Now let's talking about now we're talking about reasonable people who get it. Amongst the people who are reasonable and people who get it, I do think that there is something to be said about the women amongst the reasonable crowd who could stand to do a better job of accepting the idea that if you want that man, the reasonable man, not the man who's a part of the madness, that you're going to have to accept the challenge of competing at a level that is requisite with you being able to have access to that guy. Totally. So like, if the type of guy that you're into is a guy that likes women, his preferences are a certain variety, and that's the kind of lane that you want to be in, you're going to have to compete in that regard. You're going to have to work your way up into that. But you can't complain about it. Like, one of the biggest rules that we have on this channel is we do not criticize or chastise anyone's preferences. Everyone has an inherent right to that. So if you want to be someone who is included within a person's preferences, you're going to have to work to become a part of that. So I do think there's something to be said for that, because I have encountered factions of women who I wouldn't categorize as being a part of the madness. And even them, they just kind of felt like they were just entitled to a certain kind of man. And it's like, well, that guy chose other women over you, or those men typically choose to go in another direction because the women who he's choosing seem to have something that you, at least at present, lack. So you can learn what that is, and if you care enough about it, work at it so that you can compete on a high enough level. I do think there's something to be said about that. I think everything that we talked about today is relevant towards the general idea, but her opening, her thesis upon which this conversation derived started with women, needing to understand the importance and humbling themselves, quite frankly, to being willing to compete. Because you do have a lot of women nowadays, even the ones who have morals and values, who just kind of feel like, based upon the sake of their existence, that they just deserve certain things, men included. And it's like, no, you don't. Like, if you want that, you're going to have to work at it, and you can't get mad, because at that point it's on you. If you were unwilling to work at it, then you have two choices to make. Either accept the challenge of competing at a high enough level, or relegate yourself to the lane in which you can be successful, given the amount of work that you are willing to put in. But you can't have it both ways. So I think she was speaking to women who think that they deserve to be able to have it both ways. And I agree with that sentiment. And it isn't just women too, but I personally think that men, purely because of necessity, quite frankly, have done a better job of accepting the challenge of competing, because we've accepted, and I'm a reasonable guy. So I know that if I think this way, oh, you think this way, a lot of reasonable guys who aren't in the madness feel this way. Like, if I want to have access to a certain caliber of woman, I'm going to have to put the work in to get there. And if I don't put the work in to get there, those women will logically choose the men who have gotten there. And at that point, I'm not going to hold them responsible for that. I'm going to hold myself responsible for not putting in the adequate amount of work. So I do think that there's something to be said for that. And that is completely not related to the madness that we discussed previously, which does factor into this dynamic, but just kind of speaking towards the reasonable crowd.
No, and as far as the reasonable people is concerned, I agree with that. But I think what also is going on is, at least from my definition of competing, because competing could be seen as a weird way for the women, because they may think that it's like a real competition. If the guy's
But it
already,
is, though.
it is, but it's not. And so here's how it's not, especially if she's already reasonable, because her being reasonable is already a big ass bonus. And it's because if she's reasonable, you can talk to her, kind of thing. But so on top of her being reasonable, she just needs to be the piece that we all want. And so if she's the piece that we want, and she does, other ancillary things, every team runs their team differently. So every team has different team needs. So if a guy wants a woman who does this or X or Y or Z, then that's his prerogative. I may want my woman to do X, Y, Z or whatever. But whenever you're talking and having those moments of, hey, this is what I want, then competition is on there. And so the only thing the woman has to do, should at least, only thing she should have to do is answer the bell of whatever this guy says. This is what compliments me.
That's exactly what I mean.
Yeah. So both verbally and the nonverbal communication, where she's picking up where he's, not getting things done at or whatever. And so once that's a thing, then that is the competition. So if women are struggling with thinking that you're competing with another woman or you're competing with other women, you're not. The competition is already over if the guy already digs you. So the only thing that the woman has to do from there, if both parties are reasonable, is just answer the call for the things that he says that he wants in a woman. And so if he's not being reasonable, then you leave him alone, X, Y, Z, whatever. And so I think that, for the reasonable parties, if we can all just, if we can actually put a good definition on competition, I think it'll take away some of the connotations that, because I mean, I agree. If a guy is moving his way up the ladder and has the stuff that he wants and, all that good stuff that many other women want, after we take away the weirdos, then there's still a pocket of, reasonable women. And so if that guy is choosing from the reasonable pool, then he himself being reasonable should only want to deal with the one that's being reasonable and listen to his types of things. And so if she does that and keeps that up, she is therefore being competitive and, all that good stuff. So I think if she, because again, when she's speaking or any other woman speaks or somebody hears a one-liner or something like that and they just hear competition, the weirdos get triggered, and maybe even some reasonable women may get triggered. But I agree with you. If you're saying that, then we're speaking the same language.
Yeah, that is what I'm saying. I quite frankly, I think the invocation of the word competition is clear, but maybe I'm giving people too much credit. But I'm literally saying that, like, it is a competition from the standpoint that if, and we've used the word reasonable to describe a certain type of person, but a guy who has options, who is level-headed and of sound mind and body, is choosing from women who are like that. So amongst that pool, which one has all of the stuff, or at least most of the things that he seeks?
Yeah.
So if you are a part of that pool, then you're going to have to compete with the other women in that pool. You're not going to be the only reasonable woman around. So you're going to have to compete with the women in that pool. I mean, that's kind of what it is. That's what it's all about.
So let me ask you this. So if there's 10 women in the room and you're the catch in the room, all 10 want you, right? You talk to the first woman. She checks all your boxes. You're done checking, right? You're not checking anymore. You still have 9 more options, but you check.
But she checks all of them.
She checks all your boxes.
Then I'm done.
Well, then there is no competition. You see what I'm saying? That what I'm getting at is the competition has this connotation of competing with other people. But if you meet the right woman the first time, then there is no competition. If you see what I'm saying, if she meets all your criteria. But But my criteria is not yours. So
exactly
that same woman that checks all your boxes, I go that she don't check mine.
the reason why it's still a competition is because we're not talking about uniformity here. So every man has a different set of preferences.
Right.
So it's about what he's looking for and then what sandbox you're trying to play in. And that goes to assume that there are only but a select amount of men that are actually actively seeking, which there aren't. There are plenty of them. So it's a competition from the standpoint that it's a numbers game. It's about it's about giving yourself, it's a numbers game. It's about giving yourself the greatest statistical chance to attain or acquire what it is that you seek. And you do that through competing at a high enough level to do so.
Yeah,
So that's what it is. It's not about striking out or not striking out, or laser focus, zero in on one individual or the other, or one specific set of preferences, because it's not uniform. So every woman's looking for something different and every man is looking for something different. But you want to best position yourself for success. And so it inherently is a competition because not everyone is willing to do that at the same rate. That's what makes it a competition.
Right.
Because you're gonna have people who are willing to do more than others based upon what types of things they're looking for. It's no different than an athlete who, like, you got two basketball players. Both of them can shoot really good, but which one is gonna lead the league in 3-point percentage? The guy who goes into practice and shoots 5,000 threes a day, or the guy who goes to practice every day and only takes 500 threes a day? Like, both of y'all can shoot the lights out, but the guy who's willing to go in there and take 5,000 threes a day is probably has a better chance to lead the league in 3-point percentage and win 3-point shootout competitions and all that good stuff. That's the general principle behind the notion of competition with respect to dating, or at least that's my opinion. That's what I'm suggesting.
But that's what I'm saying. So people have different. That's what I'm saying. People take competition differently. And so that is a definition of competing. I agree with that definition. That's more or less the definition of competing that I live with. But when I talk to people and they hear competition, they think competition of, person A, person B. Now go for it. I'm the winner.
Well, I mean, okay. Well, honestly, bro, like if that's what you're thinking of, then you just.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
I know. I'm not trying. No, not you specifically, but I'm just saying. Like, I'm not trying to say that people are dumb, but like, it should be generally understood that that's what the notion of competition in dating means. No. Like, not literally like, oh, this chick here and this chick here and there's one guy, so I'm competing for this girl. It's about inwardly, what are you doing to maximize whatever it is that you bring to the table? And are you doing that at a high enough level? But maybe you're right. I don't know. Maybe I'm giving people the benefit of the doubt.
It's not everybody. But what I'm saying is the people that get lost and heated in these situations, when they hear words like competition, they're taking it the wrong way. And they're taking it as, what do I have to compete for? What am I competing for? And all this other crap. So, yeah, I mean, I agree with you wholeheartedly, man. But that's what I'm saying. These words need to be, clearly defined.
Clarified. Yeah.
Right. But again, that's why when we separated the conversation when dealing with reasonable people, if you do have a reasonable person and you're having that conversation, then everything's all to the good. But the ones more or less that's going to get bent out of shape are the irrationals and the escorts that we spoke about earlier.
Yeah, they don't even belong in the conversation.
Well, I mean, like, hey man, they're around every corner, and so they're kind of the reality. But I get what you're saying, though.
No, yeah, all right, I hear you. I do. Yeah, what you said is absolutely true, though. Treat them like an escort. Treat the situation for what it is. The classic expression is you can't turn a hoe into a housewife, or you don't turn a hoe into a housewife. Same principle. It's just, I don't know, man. I got what she was saying. When she was talking, it registered for me, but maybe that's because I'm a part of this echo chamber. So maybe that's why it registered for me. But for anybody who was triggered by that, you're either insecure because you are a part of the people who she's talking about, or you're just, I don't know, a crazy delusional person. I don't know.
And that is at least 50%, over 50% of the internet right now.
Yeah. Facts. Yeah. Yeah. Well, shouts out to Melanie King, man. The description of this video is going to have a link to her channel, as well as a link to the other channel that we talked about, Fox Soul. So, definitely hit all the relevant links, man. We appreciate it. Hopefully we don't get hit for nothing copyright, because, it's all love, man. Fair use, man. We just trying to spit game out here like everybody else, Peace, brother, peace. But yeah, that'll do it for this video, man. Appreciate everybody for tuning in to the channel. Definitely check out the Conscious Approach page on Instagram at ConApproach, ConApproach. You can also find me on Instagram at JVWins, JVWins. I'm on these other social media networks, JVWins. There's also a Facebook page for the Conscious Approach channel. If you happen to be watching this video on that channel, like the page, share the video, comment on the video. If you're watching this video on YouTube, share the video also. Please comment. Let us know your thoughts on what we talked about today. Certainly appreciate everybody for tuning in and supporting logical content. There is a website for the channel as well, consciousapproach.com, so be sure to check that out. And until the next video, man, I certainly appreciate the support for sure.
Yes, sir. And the name is Dogon SS. And you can find me on Instagram at Dogon_SS. And also, all right, on YouTube at Dogon SS. Or honestly, any other social media platform. All right, so just hit Dogon_SS. And most likely my name will pop up in there. All right. By the way, real quick, congratulations to Andrew Wiggins.
Oh yeah.
I'm happy for a homeboy.
Yeah.
All the trolls can go eat something. All right, my dog Wiggins got him one. So yeah, shouts out for all of that, man. Tatum. That's another, bro. We gotta have a
yeah, we're gonna have a sports one, man.
Because I got some choice words from Mr. Tatum there. But I still love that guy, man. But he made me look good. He made me look crazy in this final. So I was doing so much vouching for that, man.
Yeah.
But, hey, man, still young. You still learning things out. But as I always say, man, keep it cool, man. Keep it player. Keep it amicable out here, man. Don't let anybody try to get you off your pivot, because this is what's going down nowadays, man. People really try. They really plot and scheme, too. And they really see that you got a bright light and it's shining and you're happy and everybody want to be around you. And they hate it because they're not that. And they plot and they literally scheme to try to make your day worse. And if you around somebody that's trying to make your day worse, then at that point, laugh it off. And after you laugh it off, find a way to get rid of that person out of your life, because you don't need it. All right. So keep it calm, keep it cool, keep it player. And as I always say, man, yeah, man, keep it neutral. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm with you on that Warriors thing too. Of out of that entire situation, I was most happy for Wiggins. Yeah. He was the one that I was the most happy for sure, definitely. And the fact that he played well. He played well. He was the second best player the whole series.
Absolutely.
On the Warriors. Absolutely. And a couple of those games, if it weren't for him, they lose those games. So, yeah, I was happy for Wiggins for sure. But, yeah, man, on that note, man, we're going to go ahead and sign off. Another video in the books on the Conscious Approach channel, man. Appreciate everybody for supporting and tuning in. We'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.